Welcome to Tech Talk Nation, talking about the latest tech, industry news, and hot topics. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our website at techtalknation.com.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk Nation. I'm your host, Matt Fitzgerald, and we have a wonderful show for you tonight. We had a great conversation before the show today, going over a lot of fun stuff that we're ready to bring you on this episode of Tech Talk Nation. So without further ado, we are once again joined by all of our wonderful contributors. We have Matt Grislow and Ryan Eastman with us today. As per usual, they are always a pleasure to have on the show. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Wonderful.
I'm ready to go on a small little trip with you this week.
Yeah, we are going on a fun trip. So let's just put it next Monday. Ryan may lead the show because we may not be in the
I don't
best
think
state
you
of
want
mind.
that show.
For sure.
Hey, what happens there stays there.
There you go. And if that gives you any hint about where we're going, I hope it does. So before we get into the articles. Before we get into the articles, Grislow, you want to go over our social media before we get into it?
Yes, we are building up our social media. We're thinking of things to do. I have something planned for these guys in the post show to show them for what I'm thinking of for content. But yes, follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Facebook at Tech Talk Nation Show, on Instagram Tech Talk Nation, and on Twitter at Tech Talk Nations, at Tech Talk Nation with an S. We live stream on YouTube. We also post a show afterwards on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcasts. That being said, we are trying to get a more regular schedule, and we're trying to get a more regular time. But if that's not the case, that we do post or start the show on the same time every day, make sure to put post notifications on YouTube to make sure you guys get live, up-to-date notifications for when we go live, so you get the live show. So follow our social media, hit like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and without further ado, Fitz, let's get into it.
Alrighty, thank you so much for that, Grislow. We have a lot of updates for you this week. We've talked about a lot of stuff in the show that we're starting to get really pretty decent-sized update segments. So our first story here is from the Wall Street Journal about chip shortages. And if you're a follower of the show, you know we've been talking about this for a very long time, about chip shortages and how those are affecting the end user here. Long story short, HP has raised consumer PC prices by 8% so far, and Chromebooks have gone up about roughly $30 with different stuff that's been going on with the chip shortage. So there's more about that, and we're going to keep seeing this as the chip shortage starts trickling down to the end users, which are the people like us who buy this stuff. The next one, you'll have to be a fan of the show from a long time ago to remember about this article. Neuro, which is the fun little robot delivery things that we were talking about. They're building a test track and factory for its delivery robots in Las Vegas. This will be very interesting to see. And they're investing $40 million into a factory for this and creating a test track, which is super cool. So I guess there's going to be a bunch of bots roaming around Vegas. Next article we have for you is Microsoft threatening to withhold Windows 11 updates if your CPU is old. Basically, this is a really interesting article, and Grislow and I, we were actually kind of talking about this a little bit before the show here, because I submitted an article a lot earlier in the week kind of being like, hey, Windows is going to let you install Windows 11 on your old PC. And then you submitted this one where you're like, yeah, but they basically are deciding that, hey, we're not going to give you software updates if you have this older PC, but you can install it if you really, really, really want to. So,
well, software updates or security updates.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's
security.
The big one. Right. Yeah, there was basically how they just want to control and know what you're getting into. Alrighty, the next article we have for you for our update section is Peloton. We talked about Peloton treadmills being recalled. Well, now the U.S. regulators are kind of taking their step into this, seeing what's um, going on here. They basically subpoenaed the company's documents for information over the injuries, and wanted to basically see whether they're kind of like in. This is going to sound really terrible, but they're kind of like sweeping it under the rug, with the treadmill literally forcing people under the treadmill or sweeping it under the rug. Uh,
What?
you don't get it?
They make treadmills now?
Yes.
I thought it was just a bike.
No, they make treadmills, and their treadmills don't have any safety features on the back. So if a poor kid is playing, they literally get sucked under the rug.
Oh no.
So
Oh no.
it's terrifying. Like, honestly.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be laughing.
So
You should.
That's just like something. That's just, I don't know. That seems like something you'd see in a cartoon, you know?
sadly, yes.
Oh, there's been one child, I believe, that's died already because of this.
Okay, I'll stop laughing now.
Alrighty, next article we have is inside Facebook's metaverse for work.
Oh,
and
not
this was, we talked about this last week and how creepy it is. Like, look, they still don't have bottoms. These people just don't have bottoms. And basically they were just doing like a couple demos of this software and kind of how it works. I think it is just creepy as all get out. And Mark Zuckerberg is looking a little different here.
I don't know. I think he looks more human.
Yeah, I'll
There
agree
you
with
go.
Brian.
There you go.
He seems more normal.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
What is it? I think it's from like Epic Rap Battles of History or something. There's a line that's like, "Who put the elf with no friends in charge of human connection?" And that's what this just reminds me of. It's like, yeah, this is what happens when Mark Zuckerberg's like king of you making connections and how you interact with other people. This is what
Right.
comes about from that.
oh boy, what a future we have to look forward to. Alrighty, well, the first main article we have for you that we want to talk about also has to do with our favorite lizard-like tech CEO, with Facebook. They are creating these weird-looking Project Area AR glasses that shows kind of what it's like to be around them and like all this stuff. But this is such a weird article because of the fact that all the information that we get here is from some FCC filing with their like a manual. But the thing is, this is never designed for consumers, and basically it's for them to kind of aggregate data at the office, I guess. I was so confused when I was reading this. Like, what are they trying to go for here?
Yeah,
Brian?
AR in general has like, it's a weird thing. Like, it's a really cool concept, but like practical uses are generally pretty wildly limited. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to like function in AR or draw in AR and all that.
It's trippy.
It's not a good time. Like, the best uses of it, or at least that I've seen, is like at the place where I worked, we were trying to get it so that you could train people on like how to CNC metal by using, AR headsets. And that's a really cool use for it. I don't know what they're doing at a Facebook office with it, because like
That's what it was. It was so weird.
mean,
It said like,
if it's just for like beta testing it in their own office, that makes sense to me.
it was so hazy though. It says Facebook says
Yeah.
on a project's area site that the glasses aren't a commercial product. They're not acting as a prototype or something that the general public will buy. It's reiterated by the manual's many statements that the headset is an engineering product and only for use by people working for Facebook. The headset is worn by researchers on its campus and in public, though it says any data collected is anonymized and the headset has a privacy mode, which is so weird. It's one of these things where it just doesn't say what they're using this for. Like, what application does this technology have?
We've covered this a while ago, and I really can't remember what the purpose of this is. But if I'm to speculate, without thinking too hard back to when we first covered this article, I'm going to kind of make the same argument that I did with Google a week or 2 or 3 ago, whatever. This could be another instance of a software company delving more into hardware. And what better way to work with hardware and actually see it in the real world, manipulate it, just try and get a better feel for it. AR is very good for that. And so this would make sense for this type of technology to be used specifically for Facebook employees for their engineering endeavors.
Right. So we'll
Sure.
have to see.
Facebook's hardware department's very, very tiny from what I understand. If I'm remembering this correctly. They have don't they have something that's kind of like an Echo Show or something?
They call it like a
Oculus.
portal,
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah, they have
Yep.
Portal and Oculus, and that's about it.
Don't forget, yeah, you're right, Oculus. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. My alternate theory is that they need to train machine learning models and AI models on something. So what if they're just saying oh yeah, just wear our glasses for us and we can kind of start training the models and get them better before we try and export something to the general public.
So like CAPTCHA, but for AR.
Kind of. That's my wild theory.
Huh. Or like they're developing some sort of maybe locomotion model for like a humanoid robot or something
Yes.
along the lines of that, or improving
they
it.
rival the Tesla bot.
Like I said, this is wild speculation. It's just a theory.
There you go. Who knows? I mean, okay, nice going, Facebook. I guess. Next article we have for you here is about T-Mobile and their lack of security because they had a massive data breach and exposed only 50 million customer records. So
that's it?
Yeah, that's a pretty small.
Only a sixth of the U.S.?
Only a sixth of the U.S. Yeah, nothing too big. But long story short, this is just kind of a wacky story because a 21-year-old who moved to Turkey claimed responsibility for the hack. He called T-Mobile's security, quote, awful, and said he committed the hack to get attention. But long story short, he compromised pretty much everything. And got social security numbers, got everything that a hacker would want. Luckily, it doesn't seem like he's selling the data. He's more or less calling attention to it for now. But that's still very bad, and there are a lot of government agencies that are involved trying to get this situation patched. But
I mean, yeah, he did leave the U.S. right before he did it, which is a little iffy. I'm pretty sure Turkey extradites, but I'm not 100% sure.
Was it just before, or was it a few years ago?
Moved to Turkey a few years ago, according to the article.
So I thought.
I don't know how long I don't know how long it takes to create a major hack like that. It might take a few years.
Well,
I'm not sure.
It depends.
Or maybe he got bored on a Tuesday and was like, "This is what I'll do today."
I mean, knowing a lot of large companies, you're going to have the occasional admin password 123 secured service. So
yeah,
who knows?
I don't buy that though. I really don't buy it that these high level execs are using these super guessable passwords for highly sensitive servers or systems. It just doesn't make sense to me. People have to have more wherewithal in insert, current day and age and year, right?
I bet there's still some who do, but I think the number is dwindling rapidly.
Yeah, with proper corporate controls and corporate policies, you can prevent that from happening very well.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Trouble is, you're the CEO, and some IT guy has to look you in the eyes and say, you can't have that as your password.
I mean, yeah. I'm trying to look up a little bit more details here.
But yeah, on the whole, I think the number of people who that's the case with has shrunk quite a bit.
Right.
Go for it.
Nothing. I'm trying to figure out what the attack vector was here, how he got in, but I'm not sure.
I mean, he might be withholding it just so that other people don't exploit it. That'd be kind of an
Withholding.
okay move. How he did it from everyone except
right.
regulators in the company. That's the usual like good person thing.
Hmm.
Well, a
But-
good person typically doesn't hack a company
Oh, yeah,
and
they do.
steal 50 million people's worth of information.
Oh, absolutely. It's called white hat hacking.
Good people?
Yes, and they are hired.
Uh,
they are generally hired by companies to do
Ethically
this.
neutral.
Right, but they might find bugs or backdoors, but
Sure.
they don't act on them.
Yes, they do.
Generally, best practice is you find the exploit, you notify the company, and if they don't fix it in some kind of timely manner, then you usually release the method. I think that's generally like the usual standard.
There's a couple different ways that
I don't
people
know
do
if
it.
he's done anything like that. I don't know what the case with all this is.
It depends
He
on your
probably did.
level of
He
morality.
might have just been some dipshit 21-year-old who's like, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's Tuesday.
I don't think any regular person would do this, even if they came out and said, yeah, I'm not going to be releasing any information. Hacking the company alone is already going to be causing him and the company a major headache.
Oh, yeah. But at the
Yeah,
same time,
definitely.
I don't think a regular person is capable of just hacking an entire phone company.
Arguably one of the largest phone companies in the
Yes.
U.S. at that. So
So I don't know. I mean, listen, none of us have mind reading abilities. I don't know if he's going to do something nefarious with this or not. My guess would be that he would. Just
mean-
based off you have 50 million people's social security numbers.
I mean, I guess the only other example I can give as a recent example that the listeners would understand and can connect with here is the big crypto steal that was taking a ton of crypto. I think it was a ton of the meme coins, and then giving it mostly or all back, just to show or just try to prove a point.
Sure.
And I suppose this could be the same thing, but also that guy's a major idiot. I don't know why he would do that either.
he got a
This
job
world's
with a
full of all
$500,000 signing
Listen,
bonus.
I think I touched on this last time, maybe, or one of the last two episodes, man. There's some hackers are interesting people.
Yes.
There's a lot of them who just enjoy a little bit of chaos.
Yes. Speaking.
Yeah, that's true. People in this world like to cause chaos. My least favorite of those agents of chaos are the people that drive solid black or solid white Ford Explorers. Those people should not be allowed on the roads. I hate you all. Please stop driving those cars. You make me nervous.
There you go. There you go. Well, anyway, speaking of nefarious things and hacks, there was another very, very big vulnerability that was discovered this week in Microsoft Azure. For those of you who don't know, Microsoft Azure is basically Microsoft's competitor to Amazon Web Services, a big cloud that does all your computing on Microsoft servers instead of your own. They actually found this really large vulnerability within the Cosmos DB system. And Ryan, you would appreciate this.
Interesting.
They exposed their private keys. That's why. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
So basically what Cosmos DB does is it lets you use what are called Jupyter notebooks, which lets you create machine learning algorithms and all sorts of different
really
Python.
Good for a lot of languages.
Yep, like Python codes or anything like that in a
A
notebook.
lot of
So
scripting.
yeah, so you could just have everything visually represented on the screen. And the issue here was Microsoft basically decided, hey, we're going to take the thing that is unique to every single user account and make that public. And basically would allow a bad actor to get into a set accounts and stuff like that. They have since patched the bug and basically told all their users to rotate those keys, so refresh that, and then you're safe from the attack. But that's a big problem, and people are thinking that this is mainly just an oversight by Azure and Microsoft just by getting a product to market too quickly. So
Yeah, it does kind of just seem like an oversight. What do you call it? It's definitely not like a fatal flaw or anything. It's not like someone broke the private key, public key, like what's the word? Meta?
yeah,
That's the word I want to use. That's not the right word for it, but
the
like,
public key infrastructure. Yeah.
yeah, it's not like someone like said, "Oh, we cracked AES 128" or anything like that. They didn't. They just found the key that's used to actually decrypt it,
Right. Exactly.
which
So,
is just funny.
which is funny
They just
and
let it. They just accidentally was like, well, funny might be the wrong word because some people might have gotten, I don't know, if hacked
they
because of it or whatever. But
they
it's just a silly mistake to make.
they said it was actually part of their bug bounty program, and they paid what is it? A hacker named Wiz. I
Love
think
it. Great
uh,
hacker name.
yeah, uh, basically a bug bounty of $40,000 to disclose it to them fix
Not
it, and
bad.
then go public with the issue. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
is
pretty cool.
generally the best practice.
See, that's what we're talking about,
Is that,
Grislow.
yeah,
Where
that is
Yeah.
generally the good practices. Hey, by the way, I found this flaw. Fix it quickly, or else I'll go public.
and generally a lot of these corporations have what are called bug bounties too,
Yeah,
just what this guy did, where you find an issue, you tell them, they pay you a lot of money, they fix the problem, and then you can say what the problem
yeah.
was.
So it's
Yeah.
So
easy for them because their stock price will topple like, I don't know, 100 million or something with these big things all the time. So they're just
right,
like, oh, obviously we'll give a guy 50 grand, 40 grand or whatever. Like, yeah, that's, of course.
right. So
Yeah.
that's
I don't have much to say other than, I mean, can we stop these data breaches? We've had enough. We've had two already on the
No,
show. No more.
no more. Well, we're gonna
there's no
get to
way to
more
stop it.
later.
Data breaches, bug, findings. Not like it'll never happen. It'll happen till the end of time. But
Right.
these aren't good. These are a
Right.
lot.
No.
50 million people. You know, Azure. I can't.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, on another note
No
here,
bueno.
no bueno indeed. On another note here, this is actually really kind of out there. China is developing an ultra large $2.3 million mega ship that is miles long. Now, this article title is a little misleading, uh, but basically what they're doing is they're researching how to build spacecraft that are, quote, like kilometers long in space. Like, what do the logistics around that look like? What are the physics behind that? And all of that. And this article here by Interesting Engineering kind of goes into a little more detail on how that works, and just the fact that they're putting $2.3 million into research for potentially building a couple kilometer long piece of space station. Like, I think it's cool.
Oh,
Go to the moon first before you build space stations in space.
Boiler up.
Go to the USA.
But
I mean, it's a very interesting concept when you get into like these big things like space travel and all that. I don't see how you can do that short of flying out basically to the asteroid belt and building it on an asteroid. Because the logistics of getting that much material from the ground to space is stupid impossible.
right, and we talked about that last episode with the 3D printer that they're designing to use basically for Mars, I believe.
Yeah,
And yeah, and how it's basically like pulling Mars sediment and just kind of like printing with that, because it would be a pain in the behind to get all this stuff up there, let alone build something that is
yeah, no,
kilometers
it's
wide.
practically impossible. That's why, to go to Mars, you'd want to use what's on Mars already.
Right.
It's I don't yeah, for kilometers long, you need an asteroid for that. You have to basically hollow out an asteroid, figure out how to strap engines to it. I don't see how else you could do this.
I just imagine like strapping an engine to an asteroid, some sort of like redneck engineering thing. Yeah, that's gonna hold.
Oh, put a little duct tape on it, it'll hold, Bobby.
Right.
I guess my biggest question is why build a mile or several kilometer long space station? What's the utility? What's the purpose?
Right.
I mean, why not put that money towards other better projects? I mean, they're quite literally speaking in terms of science fiction.
Kind of.
And there are plenty of things that are happening in science right now and in technology. SpaceX's, foray into Mars, that seem quite far fetched, at least at the onset. But even those plans are much more plausible than building a space station. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially like I said,
Oh yeah.
in a joking matter. But like I said, like focus on the small steps and then get to that point. Build up to it. It doesn't seem like there's even a plan or a solid plan. Obviously, they're working on a plan, but I can't think of a justification to spend even just $2.3 million to research this, and then get to an eventual use case. Like, why even several miles long? Why not just a mile? Several miles long is a lot. That's a big endeavor, an engineering feat. I mean, talk about trying to build the ISS or anything else in space as is, or even just, modifying and repairing the ISS, right? Now you talk about something that's, God, I don't even know how much time there. I don't even know what the multiplier on that is. It's got to be tremendous. 4 digits probably, at least.
I'm gonna start bringing a sheet of tinfoil with me to all of these, just so I can put it on to joke around.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it just doesn't seem like
Yeah.
it's going towards a good
Well, that's if you don't take into account that they're
use.
about to crack UFO technology and learn how to fly to new star systems.
You know what? If we can figure out some new hyperdrive technology,
On a serious note,
fine.
sure. On a
There you
serious
go.
note, yeah, you are. I think the Mars thing is completely feasible and realistic to try and do. It's obviously very, very difficult, and you kind of have to make a base there and also figure out if terraforming Mars is possible. And a lot of really high-minded, like difficult problems come with that.
Right.
The use for a 3-mile long station to me is non-existent at the moment. Like, that is me joking around saying, like, the use for that would be, oh, we're gonna fly to another galaxy, so we need a few mile long spaceship. Like, that's the only use I see for that. And that's the barrier to do that is insanity. The barrier to do that is you basically have to figure out how to get faster than light, which is probably impossible.
Right.
The best idea I've ever heard is basically cheating, which is just the people who have the ideas of, like, if you can bend space to propel you forward, like, that's cheating. But that would technically get you there.
That's beyond
Like,
my
that's the
comprehension.
advanced physics is wild. It's fun to just look at. I have no idea the math behind it, but it's fun to look at.
It's probably very scary.
My point is, nothing like the use for a 3-mile spaceship is you'd have to be able to basically break that barrier in order to have, I think, a good use for it. Like, what's the use without that?
Right. Well, speaking of things that have uses that are now without, the newest PlayStation, basically, people are kind of complaining because they feel like they got bamboozled because the new PS5 model weighs less because it has a smaller heatsink. So if you look at the side by side here by Austin Evans on YouTube, you can see in the older launch version there's a way beefier heatsink than the one that is currently being produced, and it kind of has people being like, "Huh, that is interesting," because now the exhaust is a lot hotter, the processor's running a lot quicker, the processor and GPU, or excuse me, is running a lot hotter, and it's just Sony cheaping out again. Um, They do take a loss on each PlayStation 4 unit that they sell, and then they make that back in subscriptions and games and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
4 or 5?
PlayStation
The new
5.
1, 5.
Did I say
You mean
4?
5?
Did I say
Yeah.
4? I apologize. I meant to say 5. But yeah, basically, um, yeah, the lighter PlayStation has less of a heatsink, makes temperatures hotter, makes it run slower. So I don't know.
Yeah. Austin already did the thermal sort of heat gun measure, and it was something between 3 and 5 degrees hotter. I don't really game. I don't know how much 3 to 5 degrees makes overall of a difference, but I do know that he doesn't make things run as efficiently as it could. I don't really understand why they being Sony, chose to put a smaller heatsink in there.
What do you
They
mean?
also
You
made
don't
some other.
understand? Money.
They also made some other different modifications. I saw they put in some hand screws, some different sort of like hand screws as opposed to like machine screws, as well as changing the base. I don't know if it's more like for the better use case, or they think that ultimately most gamers aren't going to be running their consoles that wild, so it doesn't need that beefy of a heatsink. I think it's interesting that they would cheapen out on something that would be so important to them as a component in that product. It is an interesting move to me that they would make this worse without having a proper justification, truly, other than money.
Sure.
Right.
It might be the case that they just looked at their failure rate and said there's not a significant difference, so we're gonna basically put the worst heatsink on it.
I could see that too.
I got to imagine that someone there had. I mean, maybe this isn't the case. I don't know. I don't know how Sony runs, but basically, you need to keep your CPU, and GPU. I want to say you shouldn't hit above 85, if I'm remembering correctly. It depends on electrical components. There's components where you don't want to go above 60 degrees Celsius. There's ones that are rated for more like 85. There's some 100 degrees Celsius ones. Those are rare though. Have to is the wrong word. I want to believe that someone looked at that and said, we're not hitting the top thing. We're going to lose a little performance, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason they did it's obviously going to be money. Less metal, less price to push it out.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
that's just end of the day. I hope that someone smart looked at it first and made a reasonable call. I don't know that they did. We'll see.
We
I
will
think,
see.
interestingly, what this does is it now creates demand for the launch edition PS5s. Mind you, this is exclusively, or at least currently, only proven to be the case for the digital version only of the PS5, so not the one with the disc drive. So maybe there is good justification for not needing as big of a heatsink because there's not moving parts or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it creates an interesting new demand for the launch edition, which already had a ton of issues being released. So this is definitely something I think we should keep, and people should keep tabs on. If you're looking for like a specific PS5, you got to check the heatsink. It's kind of like a few years ago when Apple started putting in, I think it was different like chipsets in their iPhones, and it was found that one of them was running, I think it was Qualcomm and TSMC chips. I don't know what specific chip it was, but it was I think it was their A5 or their A whatever chip. And one of them was sucking up more battery life than the other. And so if you had one of the chips over the other, I think it actually may have been my iPhone 8.
Yeah, it was probably one of the what do you call it, chips? Ancillary. Like not the main one, but probably all the side components to handle other stuff.
Right. Like
it was one of the ones
modem
made
or...
by TSMC and Qualcomm that they bought from them. This is, I don't know
Yeah.
which one it was. But yeah, it ultimately did create a sort of like scare in the community that, hey, I can't believe I bought this inferior phone and no one told me about this. I wish I would have known. And if that was the case, I wish I would have been able to buy or get the phone that has the better chip that gives me better battery life.
Right.
So this is another example. I'm sure this is going to be another example of that, and it's a bit easier to check heat sinks. And obviously, if it's made before a certain date, that it has the old heatsink. And again, this is only proven to be true on the digital model.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we'll see. It could be that this ends up like the Xbox 360. I don't know if you guys remember the red ring of death, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, there was that rash of like failures that happened on a lot of Xbox consoles. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it doesn't fail at like a ridiculous rate or anything like that. Hopefully it's, everything's fine and it's just a hotter console, but you never know.
You never
And at
know.
the same time, that kind of CPU problem though happens all the time because I mean, every CPU is technically different. So you do end up with these weird problems where overclockers encounter this the most, to be honest. But you have a ton of times where you get either really lucky or really unlucky, and your CPU can only do exactly as said on the box, or you get really lucky and it can go like way over and you got this miracle chip.
They call that binning because in
Yes.
some cases they manufacture processors that are better or higher, and maybe only part of it doesn't work. If instead of wasting the entire chip, they can just disable that one part and make it a lower quality chip. And if you can unlock the potential there, potentially with enabling some other features of the chip or pushing it a little harder than what it was designed for, you can get through that, which is really cool. So
Yeah.
we will definitely have to see what goes on in this situation. Hopefully, they didn't make a bad move here, and we will see. Alrighty. Next article we have for you is Astel and Kern's latest AN Ultima SP2000T portable digital audio player packs a next-gen triple amp system. Now, this is a very, very complex article here. It was really interesting to read, but basically they have a triple amp system that has characteristics of a normal op amp, a tube amp, and a hybrid amp that basically allow you to kind of switch between what sound quality you want to have. And Ryan, I know you are going to enjoy this
Oh
one
yeah.
thoroughly.
I want to hear your take.
I'm curious about some of the other details about it still. I run into I listen, my brother was an audio engineer. I kind of got hooked on that train a while ago. There's a lot of like very niche things that you have to look at for all this stuff,
Hmm.
but I love the idea.
You
Mhm.
love
Because
the
like
idea.
it's the sad thing about phones is like if you have big headphones, you don't really have like a way to take them with you anywhere or like put them on the go or anything because like truly big, high power, like the best quality headphones you can't run from a phone properly. And that has to do with like electrical characteristics and like ohms and all that. I don't know if I want to get into the nitty gritty of how that works
Right.
and everything, but I mean, it's really cool. I want to know what the resistance is on the actual thing, just
Uh,
because I'm curious, but I don't know if they would have actually put that.
has a 256 gigabyte onboard memory card.
Yeah, they
Uh,
wouldn't have put the resist. It's a really niche spec.
yeah.
Uh, the point I'm making there, though, is if you match your headphones resistance to your amps resistance, you get way better audio, you get way louder audio, and it's just perfect.
Hmm.
I still love this, though. I still love that they're trying to replicate uh, the sound of a tube amp, which, in my opinion, is the absolute best sound there is. If you've ever played instruments through an amplifier or anything, those ideally are all tube amps.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not always the case, obviously, but that's generally what you want. Regardless, I love this. I love the idea. Even their Bluetooth, they took the time to, I think they put LDAC in there, which is Sony's lossless wireless audio technology, I believe.
I want to say they did.
I don't know if it's lossless actually, but it's very high quality.
Well, This is a really cool product, but do you have the
But
$2,400 that it costs to buy it?
I was waiting to drop that on Ryan.
no, I don't. I do not have $2,400. That's insane.
There's a really
Yes.
cool video in there, and it kind of shows the insides if you're able to
Here, let
toggle
me
that on video.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should be able to,
It
but
shows some visuals. It shows the well, everything.
I'm just gonna mute it for now. But here,
And I
let's make this
looked,
huge.
I saw something that said it was only 1 ohm of resistance, which tells me that I
Ooh,
can't put
pretty.
giant headphones on it.
I could, yeah, actually, good point.
You can put.
It has
It's
it has
complicated.
mechanical dampening inside it.
Yep.
Wow, that's
Wait,
impressive.
why?
Here, mechanical. Where is it?
Is it because they put an actual tube in there?
Yes.
Like, why would they need?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
It's a real
See?
vacuum tube.
oh, that's why it costs so much money.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an op amp, a real vacuum tube, and then a hybrid sort of the 2. So that's the 3.
Oh, okay, I
the
get
3
that.
filter.
Yeah,
the 3 amp system.
That actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's. I don't know if they still make vacuum tubes almost at all.
No.
There are these
Like,
tiny things they talk about the specs in there in the article.
Yeah, they're a lot. I'll sum it up by I like this a lot. I don't know. Like a normal headphone like these, I think is like 50 ohms or something like that, which is still a lot bigger than obviously like the generic pair that you'd get from Apple or whatever. But like really expensive pairs are usually like 250 ohms and stuff. And I don't think that's going to match those.
Okay.
So I don't think. Honestly, I could be wrong. I keep looking for the specs that would tell me that. I can't find it. I will say these are going to be able to, for example, like drive the headphones I have right now very well, and I love the idea. I don't have $2,400.
There you go. Well, you know what's better than $2,400? Getting a free fix for 25. There you go. Please comment if you got that joke. But anyway, something that is nice and free. Free is good. So Apple announced free repairs for some iPhone 12 models with receiver issues. Long story short, they say a very small percentage of devices have issues with the actual speaker that's receiving phone calls. And it's really interesting because they said they'll fix it for free, no problem. But if you have any other issue with your phone, you're going to have to fix that before you come to them. So if your screen is cracked or any other problem, you're going to have to fix that first.
Well, it's a little misleading here, though. It's any issue that would impede them from otherwise fixing it. Yeah, that I think that's fair. They're not going to just replace your screen for free if it's cracked. But keep in mind, this is a phone that's not even a year old. I would hope people, or most of the people that have this issue, don't already have cracked screens or any other odd, bad things that are happening with their phones. But I don't think that's an out of pocket or an absurd request.
I mean, at least for me, it's one of those things where we bring up like right to repair and stuff like that in the past.
Yeah.
I don't think that if the manufacturer screwed something up, they should fix that regardless of what condition it's in. But that's just me. I mean, granted, I wouldn't want to show up with a thing in like 40, like a bin of parts. But if it's one of those things where there's a cosmetic defect, or maybe I jailbroke my phone or something like that, they should still fix that issue because it is in the long term their hardware fault that caused the issue.
Sure, but I mean, if there's
Right.
something that's impeding them in the beginning, I mean, that's not something that they're going to cover.
Yeah,
To that
good
end, I
point.
will say this: 10 years ago, when the iPhone 4 was unveiled, they had this huge antenna gate problem, and Steve Jobs basically chalked it up to, "You're holding it wrong. There's no problem with it." And then they fixed it in the following year's phone.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in the last episode, maybe 2. but Apple's listening to their users. They're understanding that sometimes their products have problems, and they're being proactive and getting out in front of it and saying, hey, we understand this is a problem. This is, on us. We'll fix it for you. No questions asked.
For
yeah,
sure.
it's the thing with that was their first foray into a full aluminum design. So they didn't yet know how to properly place their antennas and how big antennas they need to get outside the phone. It was a funny situation. What concerns me more is what a small percentage means.
Right. Yeah,
What
that's
percentage is that is what I want to know. Is it less than 1% or is it like 3%?
they only
Because I found numbers. They've sold over 100 million phones.
so it
Well, hold on.
says
Phones are iPhone 12s,
iPhone 12.
and this only does include
iPhone
or
12
only affects.
sales cross 100 million mark within 7 months of launch.
It only affects the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro,
Pro.
not the Pro Max or the Mini.
and it also
That's
says
Interesting question. I'm not sure.
manufactured between October 2020 and April 2021. So
That's a 6-month window. I mean, that's a
Sure.
good chunk of time.
So
But
Right.
again, it's 2 of the 4 phones.
listen, I am willing to drop this down to 50 million for you when I'm doing this math.
there you go.
Let's call it 1%. And we have 500,000 phones that you can't properly
Sure.
hear out of.
Sure.
True.
I mean, yeah, that's a mistake.
And that's
And I
It's an
mean,
annoying
even
issue.
still, they're getting in front of it.
There
and
you
not
go.
not to be too mean, because these mistakes do happen.
Yeah,
It's
nobody's
hard
perfect.
to take like your failure rate in a test setting, and it's hard to take that and properly extrapolate it out to
Yes.
100
100
million. It is a
million.
Yeah.
difficult problem to solve for.
Right.
I'm not judging them too harshly on this. I know how impossible that is. But it did happen, and it's not a good thing.
No,
And they are
right.
trying
I
to fix it,
agree.
which is a good thing.
Right.
I agree
So-
with you. Yeah.
And another
You know.
bad thing that happened with
Another
Apple.
bad thing.
New iPhone message flaw enables zero-click hack. We talked about the Pegasus malware a while ago on the show here. Well, it's back now. Basically saying that a new version of Pegasus has been discovered, which bypasses more security patches that have been created by Apple. And basically, the big issue with these type of a hack is what's called zero click. So just by receiving a tainted message or something, the user doesn't even have to get involved with actually executing the malware. They just have to get it, which is concerning. And hopefully this is going to be something that Apple is going to pitch fix very, very quickly.
Yeah,
So-
zero clicks are always the scariest, because you can't really mitigate if someone's gonna click on malware or do something stupid like that. There's only so much you can do as the company, but those zero clicks, those are on your shoulder, and those are the scariest ones.
Right. Because in that message, they harness whatever code the company uses to receive the message and read the message text to actually execute the malware or any bad code within there. And that's why you had that I forget which phone it was with, but a long time ago, if you sent that certain text message, your phone would reboot. Very
That was
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that 2017?
It has to have been.
That feels like
I don't know.
2017 to me.
I thought I was in high school when that happened.
Yeah, that had
Did it not happen again
2015.
then?
That was 2015.
Yeah.
Huh, because I distinctly remember being at dinner with, I think it was you, Fitz, and you messing with someone by sending it to them.
Oh yeah, I remember that because they
Yeah,
hadn't
so either
patched
it
their
didn't
phone.
get fixed then or something.
No, they didn't patch their phone, and I remember it may have been it may have been somebody that both of us know, and he didn't patch his phone, and I remember giving him crap about it and telling him that this was a problem, and then he was like, no, it's not, it's fine, and then I did this, and he's like, Oh,
Yeah.
that was funny. But yeah, those zero-click malwares, that is the problem there. So
Yeah, no, it's definitely problematic. I remember when that iMessage, one of the first iMessage hacks came out, where if you send the right thing, you can reboot their phone. I remember at the time, it wasn't just rebooting phones. Some people, it was bricking phones.
oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's a lot
yeah.
worse.
Yeah. So
Rebooting
I
is
think,
annoying and you can ruin someone that way, but it's not like, oh, I bricked your phone, haha.
yeah,
Ha,
yeah.
for the
My
meme.
uncle sent me the message that rebooted my phone. I don't know what I was doing. I was really mad at the time, but I was also like 15 years old or whatever, 16 years old.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Um, but yeah, it's never
Hindsight, it's
fun.
probably a little funnier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely, I mean, I'd still be annoyed now if someone did it to me, not to mention I have a job that requires me to have my phone on me. But, and I'm planning a trip right now with 3 other guys that we're going on in 2 days. But yeah, it's inconvenient. And it's also a big problem. It's a big security problem. And the bigger concern is that um, when asked if the latest patch, the latest software update does cover this new version of Pegasus, Apple did not comment, which leads me to believe that it is vulnerable still. And what's I'm curious about, because we are at the end of the month here in August, I'm curious whether or not they are going to send out another iOS 14 dot patch, given how close we are, probably about 2 weeks or so out from the unveiling of the next iPhone, along with that following Friday, or I believe the Friday after that announcement, or a few days after the release of the next major software, iOS 15. Now, whether they'll bake that sort of fix into 15 or they'll throw out a new fix is a question that we'll find the answer to shortly, I'm sure. But it's one that I am interested in.
I
Definitely.
have to imagine they'll issue like a hot fix for 14.
They have to
Maybe
with
not like
something
a
like
point
that.
oh oh something, but maybe it's just like labeled hot fix, like emergency security repair or something like that.
Right. Right. You know what is also really inconvenient? Getting hit by a bus.
What?
Really. And
That is inconvenient, huh?
Toyota actually wound up halting all of its self-driving e-pallet vehicles at the Paralympic Games because of an accident. Unfortunately, with somebody in the Paralympics, and the bus didn't realize that they were there, and uh, basically, I believe nobody was injured from yeah, it said the athlete who remained conscious was taken to the Athlete Village Medical Center for treatment and was able to walk back to their residence. But it's still not fun. Um, and this basically caused Toyota to decide to halt the self-driving part of the vehicles at the Olympics. And it's interesting because that brings up a very interesting point about the ethics of self-driving cars and how they're programmed, about people who don't understand the dangers of a moving car or cannot perceive that a car is coming. Um, and that really brings up a big dilemma when creating self-driving AI.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they were including these vehicles at the Paralympics, given this. I'm sure they weren't intending it. And funny enough, there was a manual operator at the wheel when it did happen. But that it is concerning that they didn't think too much about the potential for an accident. And given all the stuff that we're seeing with autopilot crashing into emergency responders and failing to recognize just plain and simple things on the road, and causing accidents because of it, even at slow speeds. If you have any person who cannot perceive the danger, I mean, there's very little chance of avoiding it, and that's a
Right.
very dangerous situation. And so I don't think this is a great opportunity to test this sort of technology. maybe during the regular Olympics, and even still, I mean, with a prototype essentially, I have a bit of concern, especially when you're dealing with world-class athletes who, if they suffer an injury, they could be out. This athlete actually that did get hit was supposed to compete the following day.
Wow.
So I don't really like this whole push for new technology that hasn't fully been fleshed out, that could put people at risk, especially
Right.
people that are supposed to be competing, right?
And people who are inherently more vulnerable, which is an even bigger issue. With that,
Yeah, sure.
the I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I've never liked self-driving cars completely. It makes me nervous to have a self-driving car. Honestly, it makes me nervous that my car has a computer in it that'll shut off if someone hacks it. That makes me nervous too. But
You're the type of person who has a printer from 2006 and then a loaded firearm next to it.
why? In case the printer starts acting up and I need to threaten it?
No, in case your Tesla bot goes insane.
Oh yeah, listen, I said that last week, man. All right, robots, spaceships, cars, flamethrowers, like he's building an army. I know it.
There you
Joking
go.
aside though, yeah, I think it really does bring into light too, kind of I guess liability for this, right? If you're gonna be a company and put this out, I have to imagine pretty soon there's going to be some pretty intense liability laws on self-driving cars. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to have regulators make it like very easy to sue someone for getting hit by a self-driving car.
Yeah, not even just the person themselves, even the company, the provider, the AI, and any of that stuff. I could definitely see that being a
Yeah.
big push in the future. And
Ooh,
Yeah, and the other
Fitz.
to
Oh,
Trent,
sorry. Continue. I'll bookmark that. We'll come back to that.
okay, and to
sure.
continue on that, that is kind of what happened this last week, where an autopilot, Tesla and Autopilot slammed into a Florida State Police car here. Uh, kind of the same thing that we've been talking about, where Autopilot is basically being abused. Tesla drivers are just basically doing anything else while they're in these cars, and they're just being dumb computers. They're rocks we tricked into think that now can drive 2-ton death machines. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well, the reason why this article is not startling but important, is because the problem they're having with autopilot specifically is that it keeps crashing into first responders' vehicles for whatever reason. That's a big problem. I mean, take out the fact that it's a car, a vehicle on the road, an obstacle that should not be hit. That's bad already. Now you add on to that it's a first responder either helping someone or trying to prevent something from happening, and now you're causing more of a problem and adding to the danger. I didn't think you were moving on an article, so I'm gonna bring that bookmark right back now. You mentioned, suing the car maker, the AI maker, all that. It's interesting you say that just because we mentioned last week on the show that that Elon Musk did mention he would be open to licensing out Autopilot, which is also concerning because it's having so many issues on the road, specifically with first responders. I would not be licensing out a product, and I would not be buying a product that has issues like this. And if this is a model, like a services model, I suppose, kind of like how Apple's doing the whole services thing that Tesla wants to do with their software, they really need to think about it and really refine it, because not only is this hurting their own fleet and not training it as well as adding headaches for themselves as a company and having to deal with these tragic incidents, but it's also potentially affecting their future business model and future revenue streams.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, the
very
last
good
little
point.
thing too is how quiet electric cars are. I mean, if you're about to get hit by one, you better have good hearing and hear the tires on the road, or else, I mean, the engine's not making almost any noise whatsoever.
True.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla is putting fake noise,
Yeah.
some sort of subtle fake noise. I don't know how long it's been. It must have been since I've been in high school, I think 5 years ago, let's say 4 years ago, to prevent bad things from happening because people were not able to hear the cars because they're so quiet.
Yeah.
Which is a very valid and understandable, pause for concern and
Oh,
to
yeah.
do something like this.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just this I don't know, for me at least, I just feel like this self-driving technology, it's like fitting a square peg into a round hole. We are forcing that into the market, even though people as a whole are too irresponsible and aren't ready for that. Um, I mean, in my opinion, there's the people who understand, like, hey, this is the limitations of the software, and then there's people who are like, I got me one of them self-driving car things, like one of that type of thing, where it's like, it's it. There's just such a dichotomy of people who understand the limitations of the software and the people who are just so eager to use it in the state that it's just not in yet. So
Well, I mean, we covered this at this point probably a month or two ago. The guy out in California who was getting his Teslas revoked and taken from him because he was driving the back
Buying
seat
new ones.
and made news about it and said, I will keep buying Teslas. I have the Bitcoin money to do it and I'll keep doing it and you won't be able to stop me. I think that's very different, though, from what I can only hope is a bit more of a responsible user who's using it. And then something happens where the software thinks and responds quicker than the user or the operator can respond themselves and correct, which is not good. I'm not saying it's good at all, but I would like to give a little bit of I don't want to cast so much blame on like this person. I'd hope they're not being so irresponsible because we've seen people that are they're so much more irresponsible and they're doubling down on it.
right, very good point. Very good. In other electric car news, Rivian filed for its IPO seeking a $80 billion valuation. There's a catch here. They haven't delivered a single car, so I don't know what makes them worth $80 billion personally.
The idea.
They've delayed their cars quite a few times. They've also kept on unveiling new models, which is almost like Tesla, except Tesla has delivered cars and they're public. I think this is a more extreme version of that, having logistical issues and having to push back release dates. Fine. But I don't think there's a good reason to go public if you really can't trade this stock based off of really any concrete results, any sort of data with
Sales, demand,
yeah, sales or anything.
anything.
Yeah. The reason why I understand it's being pushed so heavily, though, is because this company is backed by Amazon, I believe,
Ford.
companies like Amazon, Ford.
Schwab.
It doesn't surprise me in that regard that these companies are so confident in this product, this company, that they're willing to go public already with it. And I guess it really only helps them. I really can only imagine one of the main reasons of them wanting to go public is because they want more money and they believe that there's enough hype around Rivian already, such that it'll catapult its launch of their first round of vehicles successfully and then help them in the future. They also believe they're a very good competitor, or will be a very good competitor to Tesla. The problem is Tesla has cars on the road. Granted, they're crashing. Some of them are crashing, but they have cars on the road. Rivian has not produced a single vehicle, has not delivered a single vehicle.
They in this article, it's really interesting from Bloomberg here. They're talking about like their grand plans and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. Like same situation.
There it is.
Actions speak louder than words.
Hmm.
It reminds me vaguely of I don't know if you guys remember Theranos.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the scandal
If
surrounding
anyone
that.
doesn't, it was this blood testing startup where the CEO was like going out on stage pretending she was like Steve Jobs or something and like doing all this crazy stuff, and a bunch of money got put behind them, and then all the money disappeared and the company folded. None of their stuff actually worked. None of it was ever put into practice, and it folded. I'm not saying Rivian doesn't have working cars. I'm not saying their cars aren't going to be great. I'm saying show me the sales numbers first. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And then put out your IPO and I will put money at it. But I want to see those numbers first. I've seen one too many scams like that.
Well,
and I'm not saying they are a scam. There's a better than likely chance they're completely legitimate business. I'll be honest, I don't know that much about them.
Rivian, yeah.
But I do want to see sales numbers.
I just think their cars look kind of weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Cybertruck looks so normal.
Okay, come on. You think that looks like somebody with a car designing degree designed it? It looks like something I drew when I was 3.
It reminds me of a Range Rover.
Yeah, it actually kind of does.
I could see it.
Like an electric Range Rover. Yeah, I could see that.
I could see it. Yeah. I mean,
they have.
There's no grill though. That's the big thing. Like have a grill, at least some sort of.
Doesn't need a grill.
Doesn't need a grill.
Yeah,
functionally doesn't serve a purpose. So why have one?
There's just then, what's your focal?
Gotten rid of them. Ford's.
But at least they have a focal point at the front of the car. They have a center point. This is just literally like a bar. Even the Cybertruck has an entire light bar. That's kind of like the focal point of the front of the car. It's not like
the Cybertruck is a flashy pickup truck. Also, I think personally,
polygons.
Just as it was in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, as it is a little less now, the centerpiece of that front of the car is the hood ornament.
Okay.
It's the brand. It's showing exactly what it is. It used to be big, ornate designs. I guess Jaguar still is Jaguar. Bentley's has the B, the Spirit of Ecstasy on the Rolls Royce. These are all expensive examples.
I think there's a handful of Mercedes that still have it.
Yes, they do still have the tri-tip star.
Ah, dude, I miss hood ornaments.
I do too. My point being, I think there's already a focal point, and I think that honestly, some of these more subtle designs that we're seeing in electric cars not only kind of match where we are. Sort of, I hate saying as a society, but a lot of things now in the designs are flat, they're simple, they're basic,
minimalistic.
Minimalistic. Thank you. I think it kind of falls in line with that. And again, there's no reason to have a grill, so why spend the time and the money trying to design and manufacture some complex part when you can make something like a really cool light bar, a great example. You can put some sort of different shape in the front, or honestly just dump it, get rid of it, and move on. There are more important things to design an electric car than a fake grill. Tesla fought that battle for a while and then realized there's no reason to.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely interesting, and we'll take our argument offline with that one because I have some stuff to say, but we don't have time for it here, unfortunately. But what we do have time for is our meme tweet segment here, where basically we go over a meme tweet, from some tech leader or something in the tech world that we saw as funny. So Grislow, you wanna take this one?
Sure. Yeah. Welcome back to another section of meme tweets. This week we have Elon Musk again. He's back. He's kind of finished his sort of big engineering focus on the Starship. He'd been really focused on that, so we couldn't get a lot of content out of him. We couldn't squeeze anything out of him. But finally, that project's done, or mostly done. So now he has time to just kind of meme on Twitter. So we just talked about Rivian and how this company that has not sold a single car, delivered a single car, is trying to capture an $80 billion valuation for their IPO. And so Elon Musk himself, being the CEO of a major, or one of the most profitable, or the biggest, maybe not profitable, but the biggest electric car companies in the States, had a little something to say about it. So breaking news, all the stuff about Rivian, and very excited about it, except for Elon Musk responding, "I want to be reasonable, but maybe they should be required to deliver at least one vehicle per $1 billion of valuation before the IPO," which is a funny jab, and I think it's very fair. Again, I really don't see how you can get an $80 billion, valuation for a car company that has not delivered a single car.
Yeah,
Right.
I
Yeah.
get that. I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know what Tesla's was when they went to IPO. I don't know if they had delivered cars first or not. I don't remember what the deal with that was. That's years ago, and I do not have a didactic memory
Fixes
or
on
anything
it.
like that.
$226 million.
Okay, that's substantially less.
That was 2010. So
They
Okay, so
delivered
accounting
at
for
least
inflation.
they delivered at least the first model supercar. I forgot what they called it.
the
Even if they,
Roadster.
It looks like the
let's
Lotus.
Roadster.
let's just say they had delivered none, just for the sake of argument. That's a lot less than 80 billion.
Right. Yeah, they had what is it? Their valuation.
I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of the car. This was one of the cooler cars.
Excuse me, I apologize. Their valuation was $1.6 billion. The IPO raised $226 million.
Ah, okay. That's
Ah,
still a lot. But did
the
they deliver a
Roadster.
car first? Yeah, the Roadster.
Yeah, that's what I
the
said.
Roadster,
But
2008.
they did deliver cars first,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take it.
Right.
And then the Model S came in. I want to say it was 2000. It might have been 2011.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When did the
I
Y
mean,
come along? Was the Y? Oh, the Y was the Y before or after the X? Or the X?
2012. The Model S.
Okay.
But again, they had a car and they had a promise for a car.
Yep.
Rivian has not given a single car out. They have not delivered. They have not manufactured, other than the few concept cars, which I'm sure. Well, I mean, I guess they have to do testing on them in some way, but I'm sure they are not fully functioning examples.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, we'll see. But
We'll
it does
see.
seem a little wild to not have a sale in the books. Well, they might have pre-sale and all that. I don't know.
Right.
Yes, they have a good amount of pre-sale, but again, they haven't delivered on. I mean, it's like if Tesla
I
had
want
never
some
delivered a
cars
car and then
delivered.
said, "Yeah, we're worth this much," and had no and had very few promises, promising deliveries.
I think we'd all like to see some cars delivered.
Yes.
No, I want to see cars delivered, and to that point, I want to see a true Tesla rival, a fully electric car company that's legitimate, that has the backing of other big companies in I guess not in the space, but in the States at least, that can really rival Tesla. I want it for one main reason, or two main reasons. Three. One, price. Competition drives down price.
Right.
Two, if there's another company that can make cars quicker than you, then you're probably going to be incentivized to start making your cars a little quicker. So hopefully that would cut down on Tesla's wait times that they currently are experiencing with a lot of these cars. Cybertruck was unveiled about 2 years ago. The Semi was, I think, a year prior, or earlier in that year. Nonetheless, and the Roadster was supposed to come out last year, I think, or this year.
I will give them a little bit of because of the chip shortage.
The chip shortages of last year. They were supposed to have this car out before that was a problem, and not to mention the other two cars, the Cybertruck and then the Semi truck. My third point, and I think I've made this point before. Teslas aren't exactly they're not made the greatest. They don't have the best quality control. There's a lot of gaps in the panels, in discrepancies between the left and right side of the car. Not to mention, and I still can't get over this, The lack of some sort of gutter system to keep water from going straight, or snow for that matter, to go straight from the back windshield into the trunk. Why isn't that solved? Why isn't that issue resolved? That's a very simple design fix. I don't know why Tesla of all companies like can't figure it out when every other car company has figured it out with every one of their cars, no matter if it's new or 50 years old. They figured it out.
Right.
So if one company can do it better and they can prove they can make a cheaper car, they can deliver it quicker. They need to prove that they can deliver cars, but deliver it quicker and then do better with their quality control. You've got an instant Tesla rival, and it again, competition only makes things better for the consumer.
There you go.
I will say there's companies that have a car that competes with Tesla. I don't think there's any there. It's like they have a line of electric vehicles that can even stand up. Because like I know, for example, Ford's coming out with their F-150 Lightning, and that's supposed to be like a genuinely amazing electric truck that will 100% compete, I think, with the Cybertruck, just based off the bits I've seen of it. As far as the other complaints you had, I think Tesla doesn't attract enough like proper car people.
I think you're right.
Because I think you get more tech nerds than like motorheads. I don't know what the word is. Gearheads? Gearheads. That's the word. You get more gearheads than you get less gearheads than like tech people at Tesla, which honestly could explain some of their oversights and all that, I think.
I think more so than
that's a guess.
I think more so than that, and I was thinking about this the other day, because I was just walking through the aisle of cars at Costco, walked past a Tesla Model 3 or whatever it was. I thought about it for a second. You know, I think more than the tech people, I think it's actually attracting people that are just more excited about Tesla and just excited about a new technology or a new kind of electric car. And the focus is more on that. And then can it go as far as I want it to versus, okay, what are all the features of the car, or does it meet all of the standards that I have for any other car? I think people are more excited about the technology, even if they're not tech consumers. They're just excited about this new, thing. And there's oversight that comes with that.
You're right. I think you misunderstood me. I meant for employees.
I guess I don't understand.
You're correct about who you're talking about, who buys them. I think you're correct about who buys them. But I mean, employee-wise, they probably need more like gearheads,
right?
Like who work for them and help them design their cars, who have designed cars before.
Right, like
I have to imagine they have
or
less of those than like tech people who are like engineers and like electrical engineers specifically, and like that kind of thing. That's all I mean.
People who understand these deliberate design choices and their effect in car design, as opposed to people who can optimize and eliminate and make a thing go fast.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I don't work for Tesla.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So
I will be submitting my resume in a few weeks. Elon, call me.
They're looking for robot engineers.
Who knows?
Elon, we know you're watching. Talk to
Elon,
us. We'd love to give
big fan of the show.
We'd love to give Elon, big fan of the show. We know
Elon,
you're
lifetime
watching.
fan of the show.
I still stand by. It's one of those things where it's like, if we get big enough, I would meme tweet him, and if he shows up on the show, quote me now, and we'll put this in the show whenever he shows up. That would be so much fun. But
okay, I thought you were gonna make it concrete, like we're gonna do X.
No, not yet. We'll see.
Elon Musk, give Ryan a job. He's a good guy. There's two people here who can vouch for him. Oh, you're on the side.
There you go.
There's two people here who can vouch for him. Yeah, Elon, we know you're watching. We know you're a fan of the show.
I know you're a fan of the show.
There we go.
Call me.
Well, speaking of the startup life here, our next article we have for you is about Dawn Aerospace, based out of New Zealand, conducting 5 flights of its suborbital space plane. It's a nice little drone-looking thing, nice and small and tiny too, designed to fly 60 miles above Earth's surface. They only took it to 3,500 feet here just for a couple tests. But it's 16 feet long and weighs 165 pounds empty. But basically, they're in the early stages of designing this. They have a nice little engine on the back, got it up to like 3,000 feet, and then they're going to mount a rocket engine on it and get it up to 60 miles, where they could hopefully deploy satellites or do other things like that. And their big draw with this specific design is the fact that they can do multiple flights a day with this single plane, which is super cool. So I'm super excited for them and hope it works out. Great to see another competitor for SpaceX starting to emerge.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. It's early on, but the size of this thing is smaller than a subcompact car. They've got a long way to go. Not to mention, I think what they're doing is vastly different than SpaceX. SpaceX is going interplanetary and even at the lesser degree, just to the moon and into space. They're trying to do suborbital stuff. It's a bit different, and again, they've got a long way to go.
For sure.
Yeah, it sounds more like a Virgin competitor than anyone.
Good point.
It's a
Actually, very good
comparison.
point. I completely forgot about them. Not gonna lie.
If that, this was 60 kilometers, I believe they were going up. Virgin was 85 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a
still not a
distance there to
perfect
make.
comparison. It's still not a perfect comparison, but
It's the
that's
closest that you can make.
Yeah, it's the closest
True.
I got, man.
Yeah,
There you go. There you
that's
go.
close you can make.
In other SpaceX news too, SpaceX will get cheaper after a big upgrade. Long story short, I didn't realize this, but SpaceX actually takes a loss on every one of their famous terminal dishes that they make. It costs $1,300 to produce, and they charge the end user $500, I believe, for the end user unit. But
Jeez.
the CEO, Glenn Maxwell, I believe is her name. It's not the CEO, the COO, actually announced that they have worked.
CFO?
COO. Where is she? There's a quote
The
from
CO? I thought it was CTO.
I
How
don't
many?
know.
Who's right?
Who cares?
Gwen Shotwell. She is the president.
Dang it.
Gwen
We're
Shotwell.
all wrong.
All wrong. We're all
We all
wrong.
gotta do a lap.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, she said that they're working on a design to half the cost of creating that, and then hopefully by the end of next year, half that again. So down to 25% of what it would cost for them to create one of these as it stands right now, which is good because that could hopefully pass on the savings to the consumer. However, they do not
You
mention
hope.
that. Yeah, they do not mention that they're going to lower the price. So we can hope
I don't
that
think
they're going
they
to pass
will.
that.
I don't
Okay.
see why they would lower the price if they've been taking losses for the first few batches of them.
I agree with you, Ryan, too, because from what I had heard in recent months, they had been going past the speeds that they had promised. They had been making them even better and getting the coverage far past what they had initially published. And so I think if that's the case, where it's much better than it was advertised, even if they're seeing a smaller cost to themselves, I don't think it necessarily means they need to translate that into cost savings for the consumer because they're ultimately getting a better product than they even advertised. Not to mention, like you said, they're taking a good loss right now. They need to recoup those at some point.
ROI, return on investment.
There you go.
Not to mention, they do want to use these. I think not just the program, but the satellites launchings as part of ability to self-fund. So I think it would be imperative they would make it as good for the consumer as possible, but also good for their own money-making model.
Yeah. Honestly, and they have their own built-in subscription model, I imagine, with this too, because you got to pay for your internet. I imagine the satellites are some form of solar power.
$100 a month.
Yep.
Yeah, satellites are solar powered.
Well, you kind of have to be. I don't see how else you're getting electricity up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meant for remote areas or areas that don't haven't historically gotten internet. And to be honest with you, the pitch
It's
is
good.
very
I'm
simple.
happy with that.
Yeah, the pitch is very simple. It's this or it's nothing. Choose.
It's not even sometimes you have the option, but your option is it's this or you get 10 megabytes per second down if you're lucky.
I mean, I know someone who where they live, they get 2 down, and that's the best.
Jeez.
That's it.
I was suffering at 10. I did 10 for a summer in the middle of nowhere, California, and that was pain.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 2.
Yeah.
5 times worse.
Crazy.
All right, I'm gonna watch this YouTube video. First, let me just cook dinner, do my laundry, and make my bed, and then when I get back, it'll be halfway loaded.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, in other news with SpaceX as well, there is actually a liquid oxygen shortage. For those of you who don't know, liquid oxygen, or LOX as they call it, powers all of the SpaceX rockets. And basically they've said because of the pandemic is causing liquid oxygen to be short and unavailable. Obviously, it was funny. The president, this is Gwen here. She said, "What is it? We're going to be impacted this year with lack of liquid oxygen. We certainly are going to make sure the hospitals are going to have the oxygen they need.
Yeah.
But for anybody who has liquid oxygen to spare, please send me an email."
Yeah, let me go check my attic and see if I've got any more liquid oxygen left. I've been using it like crazy. You wouldn't believe.
No. You say that, but like I don't know if you've ever been like high up in mountains and stuff like that. A lot of people genuinely just have liquid oxygen on them.
Yeah.
Because I know what happened to my dad. He got altitude sickness, and that's the best way to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you've been to Colorado a bunch.
Yep.
They have oxygen bars.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, it's a whole industry, and it's based off of some very sound science. You gotta drink, you gotta hydrate, whatever. And if you don't, you run a very high chance of getting altitude sickness. That's why whenever we go on skiing trips out west with me and my family, we always hydrate a good amount before, and then you can have these like altitude sickness pills that, I mean, you could argue that it's a placebo, whatever, but I mean, we've taken them reliably. It always works. Sure. And I would stick to it because we've been on trips where someone's gone on with us and they didn't hydrate properly, and then they got in one run and was sidelined the entire rest of like the 5-day trip we were out in Breckenridge.
Jeez.
Yeah. I know that happened to my dad up somewhere in Colorado where he got altitude sickness. They gave him oxygen. He was back at it within an hour. Like he was fine. Yeah, so it does.
That's a really quick turnaround.
He broke his rib later on. Don't worry about that. But
like altitude sickness, though, I mean, affects you more than. I mean, it's literally like having the flu. It's like it's like having COVID. It's really bad, and it sidelines you for a good amount of time.
Yeah, his thing was he just couldn't breathe. Speaking of having COVID, that's another area. Like hospitals need liquid oxygen,
especially
for people who have severe cases where it does end up attacking your lungs.
Yeah,
you need liquid oxygen because you need pure oxygen so that the parts of your lungs that aren't sick can have basically more free oxygen to use. Because a lot of people forget the air is mostly nitrogen. It is not mostly oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yes, you're right.
I don't know if it's the highest percentage of any element is nitrogen. I know that.
And it's interesting too, because in this article, thanks to Space News, basically they talk about how in the Orlando Utilities Commission said that its weekly deliveries of liquid oxygen used to purify the water there was down 50%. And that's having effects, obviously, because SpaceX is based in Florida there. They have stuff at Cape Canaveral. And basically...
You used oxygen to purify water.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's part of the only reason I know is because my grandfather worked for the utility. Basically, they inject the oxygen in there to better purify the water, causes the impurities to, I believe, rise, and then they could filter that off. So
is there any reason it has to be oxygen and not like nitrogen, for example?
because nitrogen creates
Nitrogen's toxic.
it creates heavy water, and then yeah,
Does it bind and make an acidic water?
yep, I believe
Okay,
so.
let me use a different thing. Helium or
Same thing, I believe.
I want to.
Or no,
No,
helium.
no,
I
no,
don't
no.
think so.
Helium doesn't react with anything.
Helium's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there?
helium, don't forget helium shortage.
Yeah, maybe there's not another. Maybe there's not enough free of just like a noble gas or something
Right.
to do it with. I don't know.
Who knows? But
I'm not a chemist.
right, and I don't know, but all I know is hopefully SpaceX can continue on their standard launch
Yeah.
schedule with these additional shortages, and we will see how that goes. On the other side of SpaceX, you have the valiant CEO of SpaceX, Elon Musk, calling out Jeff Bezos in this article here via a tweet, I believe. So Elon Musk, Bezos retired in order to pursue a full-time job filing lawsuits against SpaceX. And basically he had a tweet about this, and I thought it was really funny. And long story short, it just goes to show the kind of animosity both of them have for each other just because um, it's just interesting. And in this article, they start the article and they go, Elon Musk has criticized fellow centi-billionaire and space cowboy Jeff Bezos for filing lawsuits against the former aerospace company SpaceX.
Space cowboy, really?
I just
Yeah,
thought
he
that
is
was
now.
funny.
I know, but I don't like it. I
No,
don't like calling
it.
him a space
I like
cowboy.
No, it's here to stay.
No, when I hear space cowboy, I think like trying to think of what else I can come up with. I think of like Armageddon, Bruce Willis, or like Cowboy Bebop or something. I don't think of Jeff Bezos.
Look at me. There you go. Yeah, but it's
Jeff
interesting.
Bezos going up in his phallic-shaped rocket is in space cowboydry.
Well, speaking about that, here's a great transition to the next article. You can
Yes.
you can actually buy a new Shepard starter set model rocket from Estes Rockets, and it's a model rocket, and it is sold out for the.
You can't buy it.
So you can't buy it. There's two of them. There's like a pre-order, and then there's like the actual like little starter set thing, which is like the actual model rocket. Um, and I just find that funny. I think Grislow, I think you sent this one in.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
so funny, and honestly, the shape of this is a lot worse than the original. Ryan pointed this out in the pre-show.
Yeah. How many? Am I allowed to make jokes about this, or should we just carry on?
Let's keep it a PG-13.
PG.
Okay, we will carry this on then.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just me, but I guess I didn't pay attention to the rocket. Did the actual rocket have a big black feather on it?
I don't
I
believe
That's
don't
so.
remember what
on
the
the
paint
toy.
job was like. Yeah, I don't remember what the paint job was.
I thought it was mostly white. I remember like blue lettering, I thought, for New Shepard, but I don't remember. I don't recall seeing like, and
Yeah.
that's a pretty big, noticeable, big black.
Yeah.
Well,
feather.
yeah, apparently.
Yeah,
it
I
did.
guess.
I guess
Huh.
we mostly just saw one side of it, maybe.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, it looks like
That's a
that
good
side
point.
was facing the launch tower here. So that's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
why we didn't see it.
Hmm.
But yeah, apparently there's
Yeah, I remember when this was on the cover of The Little Mermaid.
jeez.
I'm allowed. That one's okay.
Yep.
That's the most mild one I got. All right.
Yep. But yeah, so apparently it has a feather, and you can get a little rocket to do all your little phallic-shaped rocket needs, I guess.
Yep.
Alrighty. In other rocket news, another rocket launcher, Astra, had a wobbly liftoff. Basically, long story short, I'm going to look up the video here once I transition back. But there's a really good video by Scott Manley on this on YouTube. But basically, the rocket had an engine failure and took off moving sideways instead of going up. So let me find this video real quick. And Astra launch. And it was really interesting to see and just concerning almost to like see why is this launching the wrong way. So here, let me go back here. So in partnership with NASA space flight on this one. So you will see it launch, and then it's going sideways. That's not how a rocket's supposed to launch. But
Silly rocket, you're supposed to go up, not sideways.
it did recover until a couple minutes into the flight, sadly, and then all of a sudden it's not supposed to do that. So they terminated the flight, sadly, and
Pour one out.
pour one out. But they did get a lot of good data, so I guess that's all that matters here. The thing I just find really interesting, and I gotta commend them for, and Scott Manley mentioned this in his video too. I commend whatever engineers made the flight control system on that thing, because how they were able to
Still
recover,
took off.
right? How they were able to recover from the
Oh
thing
my
moving sideways and an engine failing to get the thing vertical. That is
Dude, yeah.
hats off to them. So
Yeah, someone deserves a raise.
yes,
Well, someone might deserve a raise. Someone else
deserves
a
to be
demotion.
fired. Someone else might need a pay cut. Another person needs a raise.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest here, though. I mean, what were they
It's
expecting?
literally-
Were they really expecting that much of a successful flight where all of a sudden they were going to be the next SpaceX? No.
This was
I
their
mean, it's
fifth
not
test.
easy. It's literally rocket science.
Yeah. I mean, and SpaceX even had major failures and
Oh, yeah.
cost them
Constant.
millions upon
Yeah,
millions of dollars.
exactly.
I'm not to say this is not going to be
I remember-
hurting their wallets and bottom line, but I mean, what do you expect?
And the interesting
think-
thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think we've played on the show already the SpaceX compilation. I don't remember if it was Flight of the Valkyries or it was like
Mm-hmm.
some
We did.
overture or something.
A
No,
while
it
ago.
was.
I forget what music it's
It
to,
was-
but it's all of the rockets crashing. Is it overture of like something, or is it?
What
It's
song?
not Flight of the
It's
Valkyries.
gotta
is
be
it?
I think you're right. I think it is Flight of the Valkyries.
How to
No, I think
Not
it's
Land
overture of something.
Orbital.
I think it's like overture number something or something like that.
Here, let's
I want to say
see.
Left Overture, but that's an album by Kansas. So
There you go. Let's see.
it's not really important. It's just
no, it isn't.
We've watched
Yeah.
it. It's very difficult.
It is very difficult. It's
You're right. It is
it's
quite literally rocket
Sousa.
science.
It's John Philip Sousa. The Liberty Bell is the name of the song.
Oh, I thought
So-
it was the da 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 da. Oh wait, that's Ode to Joy.
That's
isn't it?
Ode to Joy. Okay.
That would have been
Nah,
a
I
good
couldn't tell
choice
you.
too, actually.
Or Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. That would have been good
That's
too.
what I was thinking of.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so good for, I mean, all right for Astra, I guess. Good for them. That they at least were able to get some data. And in the concession video that they posted later on, the CEO of the company was standing in front of the next rocket booster that they're going to land, or they're going to attempt to launch. So good on them. They expected it. That's just trial and error with a space company. So interesting launch, that's for sure. And the reason that they wanted to get it up and out as much as they can is because if it crashes there, they pay like a really big fine because this launches in the middle of Kodiak, Alaska, and they got a lot of wildlife there. So
Oh,
yeah, that's why they wanted to get it like out and then terminate the flight. So they didn't have to pay that hefty big boy fine. So
job well done.
I guess.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, who knows? This is completely doing a massive 180 here. But our next story here is on Snapchat, announcing new updates for its scan tool, bringing more ads and products into their app. Basically, they have a scan tool that people use to scan QR codes or whatever. And now it has better image recognition and product recognition and stuff like that. So Facebook and Snapchat can shove more ads at you. So, yay, I guess. I
I
think
mean, not really yay, but they do need to make money.
yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They're really getting into AR, and I understand that. And identifying things, which is good. It is interesting to see Snapchat kind of going into like a sort of e-commerce segue. Because it'll suggest how if you can buy the products in the pictures, not just in a live picture or a picture you're going to take, but also in pictures you've already taken. So it's not just AR; it's also image recognition beyond like real time, kind of while you're taking pictures, sort of thing.
Right.
It's interesting. Um, is it really impactful to Snapchat's business model? I'm not sure, especially with again, companies like Instagram and Facebook already kind of using that sort of model, that sort of stories and short form, quick pictures type thing. And they're not really gaining a ton of subscribers and users, from what I understand. I use Snapchat all the time, but apparently it's not as big of an app as it had been in the past.
I could see it. I could see it. And they're trying to get into this different market. And I know TikTok has taken a lot of their user base away, I guess you could say. And they're starting to integrate ads. They're starting to integrate sponsored content, products, stuff like that. And I think this is an attempt for Snapchat to try and stay relevant in that market, where
Yeah.
they're trying to force products and stuff like that. So
I mean, yeah, their business model isn't very effective at generating revenue for them for the most part. I don't know how many ads they sell because I can't really speak for anyone else, but I don't get ads ever.
Hmm.
I say ever. I almost never get a Snapchat ad. I don't know about you guys.
I get a
I almost
lot.
never get one.
You
So
must not
really,
go through stories much then.
no, I never go through anyone's stories.
That's it.
That's where they show up in between stories.
Oh, okay. Well, I maybe that's just me then. But
And
yeah,
in other sponsored content.
sure.
Yeah.
They do need more of a chance to make money, I imagine. They are not a charity. They do have to make money somehow. So I'm not
Right.
surprised
Yeah.
they're adding this. And it is still cool. Like, it would be kind of cool to be like, oh, those shoes are sick. You take a picture of them and then like, oh, here's a link to the shoes.
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah,
Granted, it
definitely.
could. I just realized this could get creepy quick if someone does it without asking first. Anyway,
Anyway, there we go. Well, that's definitely interesting to see, and we will keep an eye on how Snapchat's doing over the next couple months. And the last article we have for you tonight, you may be wondering about the title here: the world's largest 3D printed bridge test. Well, that's actually exactly what the title is. The first 3D printed steel bridge was unveiled in the city center of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and yeah, it's super cool. Like, it is a 3D printed full size 40-foot bridge. Like, it, I think this is so cool, and I just find it fascinating to have the have this bridge here. Like, it's 3D printed. Nobody, they just kind of like plopped it into place, and that's it. Like, they designed it for the specific use case, and it's just basically a model um, test bed for how 3D printing works, and it's steel. I think that's so
yeah.
cool.
The first time I read this, I thought they printed it at the site.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was thinking, what the heck? What would that involve? How would it not collapse first? No, they printed it off site, brought it, obviously. Insane.
Yeah.
It's still really cool.
Yeah.
And it's 3D steel printing too, which not something I've delved into, but obviously on the face, I like the sound of
I
it.
have a bit of experience in that.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
know where we
I'm going for
no
it.
go for it.
Oh,
Oh.
all right. Well, I was gonna say I think it's pretty cool. It's got some pretty unique geometry,
Throw me a
architecture.
Coke.
It's not just like a straight footpath or footbridge. To that point, I think it was a really interesting move that this company sort of gambled on this project in a city that's very heavily foot traffic dependent, bike traffic dependent, and it's not a straightforward, straight path or straight bridge. It's got curves in it. It's got some really unique geometry. So yeah, the printing of that must have been pretty impressive. Not to mention, when you look at like the pictures from the side, or at the ends, I suppose, where it meets the brick on the path, it does seem like it was nearly seamlessly installed.
Right.
To that end, those pictures do not do that foot bridge justice. It really doesn't.
That one does a little more.
This one, yeah.
The
you
first,
could-
that
you could-
second one,
little?
the second one you get a better feel for it.
Even still, I
first
feel
one, it
like
looks
it
like a
really
bridge.
doesn't. It really doesn't do it justice. Like this
Sure.
is very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And
I mean, yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that kind of twisting shape though isn't as hard for a printer to make as it would be to like make out of traditional architecture, because you can make those curves a lot easier
Sure.
on a 3D printer than you would manufacturing a real bridge.
Oh, definitely.
That's
and
fair.
And the really interesting thing that I saw about in this article here is they're basically using this as a mobile laboratory, basically to see how the 3D prints weather, how they stand up, and all this stuff too, because they did all the computer simulations beforehand to make sure that it could handle load and all that stuff, and then they basically want to use this to test whether those are true and how they can better refine these models to allow for better additive manufacturing for other big civil engineering projects, which I think is really cool and somewhere that I really hope 3D printing and additive manufacturing in general can expand into, because that eliminates a lot of waste and it is driving down the cost of building materials and stuff like that. So I'm excited. It's great to see something actually happening with this and then seeing where it goes through. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. Especially, I just came off learning a ton about materials, which is way outside of what I'd normally learn, but it was really cool. So I'm curious about like the steel they use and all this kind of stuff, because
right, and
it's a lot. Because yeah, and they did. It sounds like kind of go a little bit overkill by making a steel bridge.
Mhm.
Because like yeah, it's a pedestrian bridge. I don't know if you necessarily need steel to handle the load, but it's probably good that they did to see how well the structure is going to hold up.
Right.
I don't quite know the specifics
Here.
of how 3D printed steel bonds to itself, and then
Right.
what kind of steel it ends up being in the end.
Here it
Yeah.
says here's some more pictures of it. I found another article here. This is by
Okay,
DZ.
that makes it even more impressive. That's a better picture,
That
I
looks
think.
cool.
That looks so
Wow,
cool.
that's 40 feet.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it says it was designed by Gesture Studio Joris Larman Lab in collaboration with
Oh,
MX3D.
stainless.
And it's
That
400
actually
stainless.
that narrows it down
Okay.
a lot for me, actually.
Yeah. And it was made it was 3D printed by a 6-axis robot in a factory for 6 months. Wow. That looks
Wow.
beautiful.
That is beautiful.
So
Yeah, the initial article did not do this justice.
no, not oh, that's so cool. You can see all the
Wow.
layer lines and stuff like that. Like that is
Wow.
really cool. Like, good for them. So
That is impressive.
yeah, that's way this does a way better job and has a lot more
You know what?
pictures.
Austenitic stainless steel. I know what it is.
There you go.
That's the only stainless steel you can weld, so it sounds to me like it would work best for the 3D printing.
Yep, guaranteed.
That's on a hunch anyway.
Yep. But
That's really
hey.
neither here nor there.
there you go. So hopefully we will see a
Fun
lot
facts.
more. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we will see a lot more of these in the future. And I think this looks awesome. I would love to see this somewhere in the States, but we'll know. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. So there you go. Well,
That's it.
anyway,
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. That's all we got for today. Before we
We've
end,
reached
though,
the end of our bridge for today.
there you go. The end of our bridge for today. Before we go, Grislow, you wanted to say a couple things, and then we could end off here.
Yeah, I mean, just again, follow us on social media. We're trying to build it. I'll be pitching some things to these guys in the next few days, just kind of add content to our pages. So like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell again, like we said, or like I said earlier. We're trying to do a more regular schedule. But if that's not the case, that will let you know as soon as we do go live, so that you'll be able to watch us live. So do that, and yeah, we appreciate all you guys.
Definitely. And we thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank Grislow and Ryan here for being with us today. As usual, this is always a lot of fun to do this show. And as we are building up our community here, we want to get you guys involved too. So join our Discord server, follow us on social media. We want you to be a part of the show as much as we want to be a part of the show. So we really want to get a lot of community involvement and make sure that everybody's included and everybody's heard. So with that, thank you so much for joining us today. Tune in hopefully next week for another episode of Tech Talk Nation. And we will see you then. Have a wonderful night.
Everyone.
Thank you for listening to Tech Talk Nation. Tune in next week for more discussion on the latest in tech.